In the bustling streets of Ibadan, where the clatter of motorbikes mixes with the hum of traders and the laughter of children, there was a young man named Adiola. He had grown up in the heart of southwest Yoruba land, surrounded by rich culture and tradition. Despite the vibrant surroundings, Adiola's heart was burdened with confusion. He had seen the deep devotion of his people to their gods and ancestors, but for some reason, it all felt hollow. The faith he had been taught as a child no longer spoke to him, leaving him in search of something more. One scorching afternoon, as the sun hung heavily over the city, Adiola was walking along the familiar street of Ohaba Market, hoping to find some solace in the crowd. His thoughts were clouded with questions about life, purpose, and faith. Why were so many people stuck in cycles of poverty, sickness, and despair, despite their relentless prayers and sacrifices? Could there really be a God that cared about them? As he passed by a bus stop, something unexpected caught his eye. A man, dressed in simple clothes, was standing on a wooden crate, holding a Bible and speaking passionately to the small crowd gathered around him. His voice was clear and full of hope, and though his audience seemed skeptical, there was an undeniable energy around him. "Brothers and sisters," the man called, his voice rising above the noise of the market. "Faith is not a burden, but a gift. Faith in Jesus Christ can change our lives and lead us to true freedom, not from poverty alone but from the spiritual chains that hold us." Adiola stopped, intrigued. He wasn't the type to listen to street preachers, but today, something was different. He stood at the edge of the crowd, his heart wrestling with the unfamiliar words. The man continued, his words cutting through the air like a sharp knife. "I was once lost," he said. "I was like many of you, looking for answers in the wrong places. I sought wealth, power, and respect in all the wrong ways. But when I gave my life to Jesus, everything changed. I found peace, joy, and a purpose greater than myself." Adiola felt something stir in his heart. Could it really be that simple? Could faith in Jesus be the answer he had been seeking? The preacher spoke of God's love, His grace, and how everyone, no matter their background, could experience His transformative power. After the crowd began to disperse, Adiola approached the man. His curiosity had turned to a deep yearning for understanding. "Excuse me, sir," he said, hesitantly. "What you said, it made me think. How do I get to know this Jesus you speak of?" The man smiled warmly, inviting Adiola to sit beside him. He shared his testimony, recounting how he had been an addict, a thief, and a broken man before encountering Jesus. "It wasn't an easy road," he admitted, "but faith, true faith, can heal what is broken." That conversation was the beginning of a profound change in Adiola's life. He began attending church, not out of obligation, but because he wanted to experience the joy and peace the preacher spoke about. Over time, the questions that once clouded his heart began to fade, replaced with the certainty that there was something greater than the hardships he had endured. As the weeks passed, Adiola became a living testimony to the power of faith. He shared his journey with others on the very streets where he had once walked in confusion. Soon, people began to gather around him, just as they had for the preacher that day. He would tell them, "If God could change my life, He can change yours too." In the streets of Ibadan, where faith was often questioned and hope seemed distant, Adiola became a beacon of the transformative power of Jesus. His story wasn't just one of personal redemption. It was a story that inspired others to believe in a faith that could truly change the streets and hearts of Southwest Yoruba land.